I don't want it to sound like I'm preaching, because once people hear that preaching word, they want to run for the hills. So calm down, relax. It's just a conversation. The thing is with today, most people, it's not uh, Christianity they're afraid of. It's just the church and just religion when you bring that up. Anyway, I don't I don't want to start something here. Let me just leave that. Let me just do what I came here to do. um so yeah, today a lot of people just searching for answers. And I hope this video is going to reach the right person or people. If not, that's cool. So I'm going to be talking about King David firstly, and you can find this story in 2 Samuel chapter 11. So, all right. At the time, Israel and other neighboring countries was at war. Now, the custom is the kings are meant to follow their country when they are going to war, to lead them, because they are king. So all the kings went with their country into battle, except for King David. Pretty smart. He decided to, kick back, relax at home. It's like, yeah, go to war. You know what? I'm not feeling that. I think I'm gonna kick back here. So one morning, he got up, King David. He decided to go for a walk on the roof. So while he was, walking, he saw this attractive woman bathing on the roof. King David was like, damn. So he called for his messenger to inquire about the woman. And the messenger went off, and then the messenger came back. It's like, oh, that's Bathsheba. She's married to Uriah. Now, Uriah was one of the soldiers who was fighting in the war for Israel. So after David found out about this, he sent for Bathsheba. She came, he did his thing, So, and then he found out Bathsheba was pregnant. He didn't want to take the blame. He thought he was slick. He sent for Uriah. He's like, you know what? You've been fighting enough. Like, come back. So he brought Uriah back from the war. He's like, you know what? Uriah, I think you should go back home for a bit. Just chill there and kick back. King David thought he was slick, trying to send Uriah back to his house because he knows once he goes back, he's going to sleep with his wife and then pin the pregnancy on him, so he doesn't have to deal with that. But Uriah is pretty smart. Uriah is like, no, I don't need to go back home. There's a war happening. I need to focus on that right now. I don't need any distractions. David was like, oh, damn. He had to find another way. So he's like, all right. Uriah, you can stay. So Uriah stayed. The next day, King David, they had drinks. He had drinks and food with Uriah. And then Uriah got drunk. But Uriah still didn't go back home. Uriah stayed in the palace, and he slept with one of the servants. So David was like, became very worried. He's like, what can I do? So lastly, King David, he got a letter. He wrote a letter. And then he gave it to Uriah. He's like, this letter, take it to your commander. So the commander was Joab. Now Joab is the nephew of David. He's like, take it to him. And he told Uriah not to read the letter. So Uriah went back to the battle took the letter to Joab, King David's nephew. He gave the letter to Joab, and Joab opened the letter, and the letter said that Joab should send Uriah to the heat of the wall, like at the very front, put him at the very front of the wall. And then after they send Uriah there, Joab and the other soldiers should pull back. So he's just left alone, left for dead. So they did that, and Uriah was killed. So after he was killed, King David went ahead and married Bathsheba. Their first child was killed because of adultery and murder of Uriah. David repented for his sins, and that's how King Solomon was born. The second story I'm going to talk about is about King David's son, King Solomon. You can find this story in 1 Kings chapter 11. You know who I'm talking about, King Solomon. When you hear that, the wisest man. But somehow, women. Anyway, so Solomon, he needed help with leading God's people. So he went to God. He's like, I can't do this alone. I need your guidance, your blessing. So God gave him wisdom. That's how that came about. The wisdom was to lead the people. But he used that wisdom. He used the wisdom for something else, He got himself, like 700 wives and 300 concubines. So when God used Moses to free the children of Israel, he specifically told them not to get involved with certain tribes because their hearts were like far away from God, and God was worried if the children of Israel get involved with these tribes, they're gonna lead them away. So God told them, do not give your children out to be married into these tribes, and also you shouldn't go in their tribe and get married in their tribe. King Solomon, he went in those tribes and got himself, some cuties. He got himself some girls. So he already disobeyed God there. So and the women led him astray. He was too far into the pleasure until he started to build like these buildings for these women to be, the women and their people to be worshiping their gods. And now God is a jealous God. He was building temples and other places so these other people could go and worship their gods. God hated that. Oh no, he did not like that at all. So after Solomon turned away from God, God told him that he would punish him for his disobedience. So after Solomon died, God told him straight up, like, look, you're gonna go. Like the same way Moses had to go. It's like, look, you're gonna go, but before you go, before Moses went, he's like, look, this is where I'm taking the people, and because you act funny, so you're just gonna see it. Now I've showed you. All right, you can bounce. So that's what he did to Solomon. He's like, before I take you out the picture, this is what I'm going to do to your people. So he's like, I'm gonna break them up. There's going to be like confusion. The entire kingdom is going to be divided, and King Solomon temple was destroyed by King Nebuchadnezzar II. So after the death of King Solomon, the kingdom of Israel split. Israel became the northern kingdom and Judah became the southern kingdom. The forces of Nebuchadnezzar II, king of Babylonia, served a deadly blow to the small and rebellious kingdom of Judah. They destroyed the temple of Solomon. So he had his own temple and it was destroyed. Learn to humble yourself in every situation you encounter. Because if God have to intervene, if God have to intervene and humble you, oh, you're going to regret it. You are going to regret it. For example, King Nebuchadnezzar, he boasted about his achievements. He even tried to make the 3 Hebrew boys to turn away from God and worship him. King Nebuchadnezzar, he built a statue of himself. He tried to make the 3 Hebrew boys, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. So he tried to make them to bow down and worship his statue. Too proud of himself. So God sent him into the wilderness for 7 years. He lost his sanity and lived like an animal. His nails grew long like the claws of a bird, and he ate grass like an ox, and his hair grew long like the feathers of an eagle. You can find this story, by the way, in Daniel chapter 4 verse 25 to 35. How God punished King Nebuchadnezzar for putting the 3 Hebrew boys into the furnace, which, by the way, nothing happened because God was with them, and when they came out of the furnace, there was like no burn mark, there was no scratch on them. All right, that's all for today. Thanks for watching.